Yeah, John Doe Podcast, episode number 46. How you doing, Alexander?
Doing well, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, all right. Just chilling.
All right, just chilling. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
well, I feel like the discussion before we start the recording sometimes is really good. And then we get into the podcast, and I'm like, it just feels a little flat by comparison. I mean, we were having a really great conversation about window blinds and,
I mean,
and
yeah,
TVs
we had
in
a
the
conversation
bedroom.
about window blinds and watching TV while going to bed.
Watching TV while somebody is watching you watch TV from the
Yeah.
window, from your
Yeah.
bed. But not in a like sexy way, like in a like, "Ooh, I just want to watch them watch."
Like, someone's watching me watch 13 Reasons Why. Like, they're ashamed of it,
Yeah,
and I'm ashamed of watching 13 Reasons Why.
it's like it's like a reaction video on YouTube before reaction videos were even a thing. I'm gonna watch this
reaction
guy
videos
react.
were always like a thing back in the day.
Well, like I'm talking about.
Do you remember like people like put the title? I forgot how they used to do it, but like they used to do like response videos.
Yeah,
Like people would, instead of like reacting to it like live, they'd make like a 5-minute video talking about the video, and there's just like a loop of people reacting to each other.
it's kind of interesting
Old school YouTube.
because like that was a real big community builder way back when. Good friend and fellow content creator Raining Ravens, originally one big part of how he gained a following was just getting on a webcam and talking about Ravens games after the Ravens game was over. And I just thought that was, now with YouTube's so weird now, man. It just is.
I don't know.
I have a little bit of
I don't do it, so
I have a rant on YouTube and I guess a lesson learned. So this week, man, I was all excited. I'm like, I joined this new franchise in Madden 20. It took a long time for it to get started. Everybody wanted to start. It's a 32 user league, so you can imagine how hard it is to start one of those, get it all up and running. We've got some great people organizing it. I am not one of those people, but the people organizing are great. And I'm like, this is brilliant. This is going to be a great series for my channel. For years, people have been asking for the Bucks franchise. We want Bucks franchise. We want Bucks franchise. Alex, where's Bucks franchise? I'm like, I'm finally going to give it to him. I'm finally going to be able to deliver. And I do the video. It's a good video, good gameplay, exciting gameplay in my opinion. I'm editing this thing. I'm thinking it's going to be brilliant. It'll do way better hits than my last Mutt video, which was just a weekend league reward pack opening, which, got around 300 hits. I'm like, this could easily double it. As of right now, 42 views. I'm telling you, man, you got to strike while the iron's hot. It's so crazy. YouTube's so, you don't know. Like, I just wonder sometimes with my channel, just a little bit of a rant here. Like, sometimes I feel like the algorithm can put your channel like in the corner where it's like no matter what you do, there's no getting out of it. Like, you've dug yourself into this hole on your channel. You've plateaued, peaked, whatever. And I sometimes wonder if my channel's in that proverbial corner. And and the worst part about it is you just don't know. There's no knowledge whatsoever on the algorithm. Google doesn't put it out publicly. So that's what I've been dealing with this week. A little bit frustrated, but what I will tell people is this: give people what they're asking for on your channel while they're asking for it. Because if you wait too long, nobody cares. Strike while the iron's hot. Applies to most things in life. Anyway, Andy, what have you been watching? What have you been playing this week?
unfortunately, NBA 2K20.
Really?
Yeah, Madden 20.
Yeah.
And then watching. Oh boy. Finished that hit TV show 13 Reasons Why. Classic. I'm
Really?
kidding. It's awful. Probably the worst ending to anything I've ever seen.
Wow.
And there's another season, so.
That is
I watched
high praise.
Shaun of the Dead. I watched the
Ooh.
entire TV show of the Mick in one day, which is
I remember
timely,
that show.
shouldn't be possible, but I stayed up for like 30 hours straight, and I just had it on. Like, I wasn't up 30 hours straight because of the show. I was trying to fix my sleep schedule, and it was on. It was okay. I watched Scott Pilgrim, obviously. It's the DCD Film Club this week. I watched The World's End, Baby Driver. So I watched all the Edgar Wright movies besides Hot Fuzz because I already saw it. Scream season 3. I watched an episode, and that show's also awful. And then I've started Breaking Bad again.
Wow. I have a hard time going back and rewatching things nowadays.
I've never finished Breaking Bad, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, like, a lot of people will be like, man, I'm watching Breaking Bad for the 4th time. It's so amazing. And I'm just sitting there going, I can't make that kind of commitment because there's too many other things that I haven't watched yet that I really should be putting the time into.
It depends on the show. I've seen, like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like, 13 times.
Yeah.
But I can just throw that on and not pay attention to it.
I feel that way about The League. The League is kind of that show for me.
I've seen that show a million times. I used to watch it every time the season ended and the season started, but I haven't watched it in like 2 years.
Yeah, or The Office. The Office is another one that I've watched it in entire. The American Office, not the UK Office. That one I've watched once maybe, and a couple episodes I've watched twice of the UK Office, and they're all brilliant. But it's obviously a much shorter series. The Office over here in the States, I've been through that one completely twice. And I've really enjoyed it.
I've been there like several times.
Yeah, I could totally see myself going through it one more time, before they pull it off Netflix in like a year or two or whatever that is.
The best way to watch it.
How's that?
Is after Pam and Jim get married, just stop. Because it only gets worse after that.
No, you know what? I totally get what you're saying with that. A lot of people say that about like Friends season 7, but series age and people get bored, and I feel like that was the
jumping off points are Jim and Pam or if Michael leaves. Those are the 2 jumping off points.
I get that. I mean, I still like the later seasons, but especially the last season when the writing crew changed a little bit, it was very noticeable, and you could tell they were. I mean, it's the worst time to go through a feeling out process is in your final season, but that's what they had to do. So,
I love Robert California. He is the Lizard King.
I do like Robert California. I like that character. I liked the lady who owned the printer company, the Southern lady whose name I always forget. Yeah. I thought that was a nice little run. But you could tell they had some holes to fill, and I feel that way about Big Bang Theory too. Like once Big Bang Theory got to the point where Penny and Leonard get together for good, they're married. It was kind of like, well, what's left to do now? And then when 2 other main characters, get married, it's like, well, shoot, like everybody's married, having kids now. It's really just not what it was before. So I noticed like the fan base kind of turned a little on it. I don't know if turn is the right word. Anyway, this week I didn't watch much. I wanted to watch Alita Battle Angel again. I have it. I own it. I purchased it for 2.5 weeks. Been trying to convince my wife to watch it with me. She will not watch it with me, but I know she'll get irritated if I don't watch it with her, which is weird. It's like a catch-22. Tweet my wife and tell her watch Alita Battle Angel with Alex, please. At Ashmo28 on Twitter. Just tweet her, say don't give it any reference whatsoever to the podcast. Just tweet her and say you need to watch Alita Battle Angel with Alex.
What movie's on top of your games? It's been there for 3 weeks. I think it's Fast and Furious something.
No, it's Fight Club. It's Fight Club, but they gave it this. Best Buy had it on sale for $6, and they gave it this weird like paper sleeve. And I
thought it was like Russell Crowe on the top. That's why I was like, is it Fast and Furious? But then I was like, it looks like Russell Crowe.
So I almost threw the paper sleeve out, but I kind of like it. But I do like this cover too, because this looks pretty good as well.
I have like the cool cover too, but we have the same like actual Blu-ray.
Yeah.
The slipcover's different though.
Yeah, you could tell this is a reprint to get rid of old stock, because I think they're going to re-release that movie in 4K. Also, speaking of Shaun of the Dead, great movie. I've watched that one a billion times. It's hilarious every time I watch it. They're re-releasing that in 4K, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out in 4K when it comes out. The whole Corletto
trilogy will be 4K.
Yeah, because like right now you can only buy it in a combo pack, and I'm like, I don't really want to buy the whole combo pack. Oftentimes those end up not being such a great deal. Anyway, this week I didn't really watch that much. I watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World and a lot of New Girl. I got really deep into New Girl. Still good. Still enjoying it. It's really funny. A little bit of drama too, if you're into that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like it's kind of the perfect comedy show because, like, I know there's a lot of females that watched it, but I know there's a lot of dudes that watched it too and enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be a little bit more aimed towards females than it really is, but I've been enjoying that one a lot. And then obviously WWE, been keeping up with WWE because the pay-per-views this weekend. Looking forward to it. Should be a good one. Clash of Champions looks to be a good card. The writing in WWE right now is just magnificent. They're doing great. And as far as playing stuff, I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft, Madden, and then recently I've been going back through Xbox Live Play Anywhere titles and playing those on my PC. So Forza Horizon 4 on the PC. They updated it. You can run it at 60 frames a second now if you have a nice enough rig. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So, moving on to listener questions. First one comes from Colby at Colbster409 on Twitter. He says, "Are the Browns frauds?" Andy?
No.
I'll let you lead off. Okay. No?
Yeah, no.
You want to expand on it?
No. I'm kidding.
I love that. I was hoping you would like deadpan, just be like, nope.
Just don't overreact to week one. It's a long season. Some teams take a while to get started. They had 18 penalties. That doesn't happen every week. They had 18 penalties for 182 yards. And also,
it was an astounding amount of penalties.
To refer back to the special, I have the Titans win their division. Titans are playoff contenders. They're a good team. And it was a close game besides how the final score let it seem to be.
Yeah, the game kind of got away from them later on.
Yeah, like Derrick Henry had like an 82-yard touchdown or something like that.
I mean, we're talking about 21 points in the fourth quarter, or some of that in garbage time, honestly. Yeah. And compared to the Browns, who scored 0 in the fourth quarter. But my thing with the Browns is this: I tried to, and I'm so sorry, guys. The the video just went down for like a second there. But I said it before the season. I'm going to stick with this. I don't think the Browns are going to win their division. I think they cap out as a wild card contender because I really think the Ravens are the best team in that division. I know they only played Miami, whatever, but they beat the opponent in front of them, and they did a good job of it. But I really don't think the Browns are frauds, and I certainly think they improved a lot in terms of their roster. So it's just a bad week. And the other thing is, Andy said it best last week. He's like, week one's weird. Teams don't play like they normally should.
It's week one.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys really didn't get that many reps together. Odell Beckham didn't really look like he was fully involved until later on in the game. Then he looked really good. So I don't think they're frauds. But I was never the guy sitting there saying, well, they're going to win their division. They're going to be in the AFC Championship.
And we're the only podcast around that wasn't saying that they're Super Bowl contenders.
It's a beautiful team on paper. I mean, oh my goodness. But, I think we all know, especially from like that Eagles team, like, what was it, about 10 years ago, that had this jam-packed, loaded roster.
The Michael Vick, D-Jax,
yeah,
McCoy.
And it was a ridiculous roster. I mean, Vince Young was a backup. Everybody was like, this team's going to be unbeatable. And it all fell apart. So
the miracle of Meadowland #2, though.
That is true. That is true. So thanks for the question, Colby. Appreciate it. Cowboys look good this past week, by the way. How about them Cowboys? All right. So next question comes from Josh on Twitter. He says,
my old roommate.
Oh, that's who that is. Okay, cool. Well, hi, Josh. Glad you listened to the show. So, biggest surprise winner and biggest surprise loser in NFL Week 1. Andy, go ahead.
I have, for my winner, the Oakland Raiders.
Uh-huh.
They looked good. They don't look like a bottom 5 team. I love the involvement of Darren Waller. Their tight end seems like they can run the offense. Tyrell Williams look good. Defense look great. Carl Joseph and Jonathan Abram, just two big boy safeties, look great together. I'm kind of being contradiction my earlier statement. Don't overreact to week 1, but they looked good.
I don't think that's an overreaction. They really did look good. I liked how the Raiders looked on Monday. I had them picked, but I think after the Antonio Brown drama, most people, even if they had picked the Raiders, would have flipped on that
with
one.
Antonio Brown, I still have them as bottom tier.
Yeah, I really liked what I saw out of the Raiders, specifically Josh Jacobs. Who was your biggest surprise as a loser?
Oh, hold on. I have an honorable mention of my biggest winner that didn't win their game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Indianapolis Colts. They competed with the Chargers. Everyone threw them out the window. I didn't. I said the last time I believe Jacoby Brissett.
Mm-hmm.
And they looked good. I mean, they're not going to contend or anything, but they're not competing for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And then for loser, I have the Atlanta Falcons because, boy, did they get demolished.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. So for me, biggest surprise winner was the Bills. I really liked what I saw out of the Bills, specifically in that fourth quarter. I thought that game was over. I kind of stopped paying attention to it. You guys know I watch Game Mix on Sunday Ticket, so I have it. I remember it was in the top right corner of my screen. I just stopped looking to the top right. I figured this game's over. I didn't have any real fantasy football stake in it, so I was just kind of, I glance at it every once in a while. I look up, I'm like, whoa, what is happening here? So Bills looked really good. I liked what I saw out of them in the second half, specifically what we saw out of John Brown and Josh Allen was very promising. If you're a Bills fan, that had to feel
John
good.
Brown.
Yeah, I really like him a lot in Buffalo. I was a little bit pensive towards being optimistic.
Devin Singletary it looked great too.
He did. I think they got some really cool pieces there in Buffalo that could make them a scary 7-9 team that's going to be a difficult out every week. I don't think anybody's going to go into Buffalo in December.
To not keep praising myself, I had them picked second in the division.
Yeah, and if I had known that the Dolphins were going to basically gut their roster, I would have put the Bills up there at number 2 as well. But Bills look great. And then I will also steal from Andy's playbook here, and I'll do an honorable mention. They didn't win their game, but they tied, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. Another team that in the second half came back, looked strong, looked more competitive, was making competitive plays, made some big plays. Kyler Murray was obviously a big part of that, as was Larry Fitz, as always. Biggest surprise loss for me was the same one. The Falcons. I didn't know what to say.
That was the only game that I turned off.
They looked awful.
Yeah, they got demolished. They were down it was something like 21-0, and I was like, I'm turning this off.
To the Vikings' credit, I don't want it to seem like I'm saying the Falcons did it to themselves. Like, the Vikings went in there and owned it. Like, they executed basically perfect football. So
then I have an honorable mention that didn't win their game, or I have an honorable mention that won their game but looked like a loser.
Who's that?
That's the Seattle Seahawks beating the Bengals by 1 point.
I really thought the Bengals were going to win that game. I was impressed with Andy Dalton's performance. I really thought John Ross showed some serious potential for the rest of the year, where, I mean, he's honestly going to have to be, in my opinion, their lead wide receiver until AJ Green gets back.
AJ Green out.
AJ Brown, I don't even know who that is.
He's a rookie wide receiver.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, but the Bengals look pretty good. I was impressed with the Bengals looking competitive. I mean, I don't think anybody really expects much out of the Bengals this year. Most people had them dead last in their division, but at least they're not blatantly tanking like other teams.
All right, we have a big one from Reuben Jim. So this is gonna take a second. We're going to cut this up into parts and answer the question. It's the longest question we've ever gotten. Should the NFL and NFL player association come together and agree on a solution to prevent or rather deter players from abusing or orchestrating their way out of contracts only to go where they want to go.
How would you police it?
I thought of a different way from not the team standpoint, but the player standpoint.
Yeah.
Add options to contracts, because that's not a thing in the NFL. It's a thing in basketball.
It's a thing in baseball.
Yeah, like add player
I'm
options.
fairly certain they have player and team options in hockey.
Couldn't tell you.
Right? I think they do. Anyway.
Free agency isn't like a thing in hockey. It's like free agency is literally like just not a thing in hockey.
So with that is true. It's a much more, there's a lot more team control of players in the NHL, so it's probably not a very good comp. I like the NBA style option that Andy puts forth. I didn't even think of that one. It's basically brilliant. The only thing I think the NFLPA would bark at is I think they would hate the idea of team options, and I think they'd love the idea of player options. So I think they'd have to find some kind of medium. Maybe mutual options?
I mean,
I don't know.
You got to think about they're already finding players for not showing up. It's not like there isn't something. Every practice they miss, they get fined $38,000. Like, It's not like they're not doing something about it. It's that the players don't care.
So this is obvious, and I mean, the rest of the question will make it even more obvious, but like, this is obviously a reaction to the Antonio Brown thing, maybe to a lesser extent,
Melvin Gordon,
something, well...
Ezekiel Elliott, Le'Veon Bell.
See, but here's the thing. Like, Le'Veon Bell wanted a contract.
Julio Jones, technically.
He didn't get one. Well, the Julio Jones deal was... That was brilliant. Julio Jones did some great negotiating to get a $66 million payday immediately and defer the rest was brilliant, because you take that $66 million, if he's smart, he invests it, and he'll make a lot more money on that $66 million rather than getting it over the course of 4 years. Anyway, I mean, I guess that would be what they're doing now. They're fining. Next part of the question: did Antonio Brown only do all this to get more traction on social media due to Hard Knocks, and when it was over, washed hands and moved on to further his personal agenda with his own brand? That might have been like a secondary effect. I don't think that it was a motivation of his to build some kind of a social media following or like his YouTube channel or anything like that. I don't think that it really benefits him. That would be a drop in the bucket. I really don't even think Antonio Brown, this might be controversial to say, I don't think he's a very marketable athlete. Because, and hear me out on this, he has a good look. He's obviously very successful and things like that, but he's got a lot of things going on off the field, things that are, later we'll talk about it, allegations, or things that actually did happen, like throwing a sofa off a balcony and almost hitting a little kid. I
think he's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that makes him less marketable, and therefore I just don't think that this was anything to do with branding. Do you find all of this unethical, Andy?
No, I don't know.
I don't want to use the word unethical here because that's a really strong one to me. Unethical means like you're stealing something. At the end of the day, the Raiders never had him to begin with. I think that's really how I look at it, and like you can't lose something that you never had. He didn't make much money from the Raiders, if any. It's not
like he picked the Raiders, though. He got traded there.
That is true.
He didn't sign there.
That is true, but he did sign that extension, so it's like kind of sort of it. I don't know, man. I just don't think it's unethical.
The dude also has a bleached mustache.
Yeah.
I've said this every week.
Yeah.
I think people should check if he has CTE. I don't know if you can do that on a person that's alive, but
you can't. You can't. That's part of the problem with CTE is you don't know if someone has it until you inspect
CTE. He's going crazy.
So I may have said this on last week's show, but I don't think I did. I think I told my wife over the weekend. I said if I'm the NFL, I would pay money to buy his brain if he were to pass away in like 50 years or whatever, if the NFL's still a thing, I would want to buy that brain for fear of somebody getting their hands on it and proving that CTE is a thing. Because like his behavior is pretty out there, and it does match up with a lot of the things that you see with CTE victims. And I will say that I don't think it's a good look for the league. I think this really does play into like a case for mental illness being a problem in the NFL. So I don't think it's good for it, but I don't think he was forthright with the Raiders, but I don't know if I would call it unethical.
I mean, same time with the like leaving team thing, it happens in basketball too. It's not an NFL. It's not an only NFL problem. It happens in MLB, happens in an NBA, happens in all sports, happens in soccer.
It's very common. I mean, let's not forget Carson Palmer walked away from the Bengals and $100 million. He said, "Screw it, I'll retire. I don't want to play here anymore." And he walked away for a year. So, I mean, like those things happen. I don't think he was forthright with the Raiders. I don't think that he was truthful with them in dealing with them, but I wouldn't call it unethical, you know? And I think the other thing too is we'll really never know the full story, like, cause nobody's going to write a book about this or anything that's a tell-all book. And the other thing too is it's a he said, she said thing anyway.
This keeps happening and is damaging, or not only as a brand, the NFL, but also a team, and more importantly, the fans. I don't really think it's damaging at all.
I don't think it hurts the NFL.
If anything, it puts more attention towards the NFL.
I don't think it hurts the NFL. I think it, in a weird way, it created more excitement around the NFL. I saw a lot of people excited about him going to the Patriots. I saw a lot of people upset, but still talking about the NFL because he was going to the Patriots. It makes the Patriots the biggest heels in the NFL once again. I don't think it's entertainment at the end of the day. I think the whole thing was entertaining. People enjoy drama. I don't think it's damaging to the NFL. If it was more widespread, I think it would be, but I don't think it's going to be widespread. And then he says here, next up is Odell Beckham Jr. with the watch issue. It's only going to escalate with losses that continue. What's the fix for all this shenanigans and nonsense? So
they're fining him.
Yeah, they're fining him. They're going to
really don't know. Odell Beckham Jr. wore a $200,000 watch.
Yeah,
during the game. You're not
so
supposed
weird
to wear hard objects.
Yeah.
What do they do? Fine him or suspend him?
Yeah, I don't.
And with the losses that continue, I don't think they're definitely going to win next week. I would bet my life on it that they're going to win against a Sam Darnold-less New York Jets.
Sweep it on Trevor Siemian. I don't know. I don't see it as a problem. I think wide receivers have always had big personalities in the NFL. It's just a thing. You know, you go back to Terrell Owens, Michael Irvin, you know, sometimes you get an anomaly like a Jerry Rice who was just quiet and did his job all the time, or Chris Carter or someone like that. But like these wide receivers have big personalities. People like that. That's what makes the NFL the NFL. Like, I mean, I'm one of those people who says I'm not a fan of players as much as I am a fan of my favorite team, and I'll stand by that. But at the end of the day, why you tune in on Sundays is for the personalities, man. It's like pro wrestling.
What's the difference between a watch and the club that GPP has?
Dude, I mean, I'll be honest. Once Odell Beckham Jr. came out and showed that the watch was all plastic, I was like, why is it illegal then? If it was metal, I got you. Plastic?
If anything, I feel like it would injure him more.
Probably.
I feel like, what if he catches the ball, bends his hand back, the watch is right there, you know?
I think it's stupid.
Mess up his hand.
I think it's stupid to wear a watch during a game. I mean, because of what you just explained.
Hey, man, maybe Andy Reid needs a watch while in the game.
He definitely does for time management purposes. Thanks for the question, Bobby, a.k.a. Ruben Jim, on Twitter.
All right.
Kidding. At Cuban Slim. That was the longest question ever.
Yeah.
That could have been a whole episode.
Probably.
I love it.
Moving on to entertainment, where we only have one topic. Hashtag fix 2K20. Hashtag fire Ronnie 2K20. Alexander has some questions for me, apparently.
Well,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, give everybody a lay of the land. Just like give us a high overview, because I read the article and I've seen
NBA
the complaints.
2K20. I haven't read the article. I played the game. The game's awful.
Yeah.
It's trash. The servers are trash. Like, the game genuinely sucks. And there's so many game-breaking glitches. If you pull a duplicate in my team, you can't do anything. It breaks your game anytime you try to log into my team. It kicks you out of the game.
Wait, what?
If you pull a duplicate and try to sell him, it breaks my team and you can't play it anymore.
Okay.
And then, like, my career, after you finish a game, you don't get any rewards. At the park, if you finish a game, you don't get any rewards. The gameplay itself sucks. One thing that bugs me, the most annoying thing about the play, is, you know, you're going down for, let's say, hypothetically, like a chase down block, and you want him to jump, and you want the momentum to carry the player, so, like, jumps diagonally. No, that doesn't happen in this game. If you press the jump button, you jump straight up. There's no momentum in the jump.
So it's basically like Super Nintendo
Yeah,
NBA
like the
games
game
where it was like
sucks.
they would jump straight up.
Players
the
can't
later
hit
ones.
shots. It's impossible to hit threes. Like, the game genuinely is awful. And the community speaking out. There's like 120,000 people tweeting hashtag fix 2K20. It was like the front page of Twitter for a second.
It was trending on Twitter.
So yeah, the game's awful.
So I feel like I dodged a bullet on this one because I had a little bit of a craving to play a basketball game again this year, and I was thinking about doing a series on my channel, but I don't even know what the point of that is, because let me tell you about this last franchise video I uploaded on YouTube. It only got 42 views. Anyway, enough of that. So yeah, like, I feel like I dodged the bullet, like, because, but here's the weird thing, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Andy. I want to say it was 2K17. It came out. I redboxed it, like, impulsively. I never redbox stuff, but I redboxed 2K17, and it was just unplayable. I mean, I was just getting kicked out of games left and right. You had to check it. You had to be online on the servers, and the servers would constantly go down. So I feel like this has been an issue for years, but is it worse this year, or?
I mean, the servers have always been trash.
Really?
But the servers in this game,
it just it makes me sad, because I feel like the game as a whole makes enough to where it's like, shouldn't they just have good servers?
I mean, it's not like it's like a small company.
It's definitely not a small company. This is the same company that makes and publishes
GTA,
Grand Theft Auto,
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, like they got money. I feel the same way about EA, by the way. EA's had massive server problems the last 3 years in Madden that have been worse at some times than others.
I don't know. I thought about selling my coins today. I think I'm done with Madden.
Really? We'll have to come back to that, because I want to get more information on that. Hashtag fire Ronnie2K. Who is Ronnie2K? I don't know who he is.
He's the community manager of NBA 2K.
Is he the one that people were saying, like, just literally would not respond?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Maybe. But he, like, lied about the game. Like, he threw out, I forgot all the examples, but he was, like, live streaming, and he would say stuff was in the game that wasn't in the game at all and was completely wrong. And he was, like, lying to the community, false advertising.
You got to be careful with that nowadays, man.
The product being awful, everyone wants them out.
In today's cancel culture on social media, I feel like you got to be really careful, because this is the kind of thing that you got to worry if you're 2K. This could ruin your brand. It could ruin the goodwill you have left with your base consumer. And talking about stuff that's not in the game, and then people buy the game and it's not there, it's just so reminiscent of No Man's Sky. And that game,
they eventually fixed it.
Yeah, but that game never recovered. It never recovered from that. To this day, people laugh at it like it's a joke. Even though, by the way, a good friend of mine and another content creator, Jock, over on Lazy Gaming Guys, he plays No Man's Sky. He played the newest update, and it looked really fun.
Yeah.
I actually thought about purchasing
And only
it.
if NBA Live was released and not delayed. And that's still a shit show itself.
Yeah, I tried NBA Live a couple years ago, and I was like, I see that they're getting better.
Hey, I bought the last game for $6 Christmas. I enjoyed it. Me and my friends played like the park mode.
Well, there
It was
you go.
fun for a couple days.
Yeah, so I mean, for $6, sure, but I don't know if I'd buy it for 60. I don't know, man. This is a really sad state of affairs. Like, and also just a side rant here before I move on to my next question for Andy that I don't have on the show notes. Like, everybody always talks about Madden, and it's so bad, and we wish there would be an NFL 2K game. I don't know if it would be any improvement, because I see this has got it out of the 2K Sports catalog. NBA has to be their biggest property. Has to be.
I mean, they only have that WWE. I don't know.
Yeah, well, don't. Well, yeah, I always forget they stopped making the baseball game, and they stopped making the NHL game. Man, NHL
long time ago.
NHL 2K was so good when it was out, though. Anyway, next question for Andy: why are you quitting Madden? What's going on there?
I'm not quitting it.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably gonna be done. I just don't see myself putting time in Ultimate Team, so there's no point in trying to stay. Like,
it's a lot of.
There's no point in just like leaving my team there, but I could sell it for money.
It's a big commitment.
I may do it every year. I don't know. Literally every year I do it.
I know. Before you sell those coins, let me know. I might buy them from you.
I can probably scrounge up like $1 million, which I can sell for $100.
I might buy that off of you.
I'll give you a friends and family discount.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk that out through DM. Super illegal. So freaking illegal. EA would.
Nah, we're talking about 2K, my team points, right?
Yeah, my team points. Yeah. What do you think about the before we move on to DCD Film Club, I did want to ask you the in-game transactions in 2K this year, are they worse? Because people were saying
I don't play my team.
Oh, okay. People were saying it was borderline.
I literally just play
gambling.
online head-to-head, so I'm like the kind of the worst about this topic.
Oh,
you don't play
like,
the game, and I only play online head-to-head.
Well, I thought it was a fascinating topic. I actually had a lot of fun discussing it with you.
I mean, I played my career and online head-to-head, which is the main, not even close. Well, my career, like the same thing with like Madden, how franchise mode's the most popular game mode in Madden, but like there's no online presence. Like my career is the most popular 2K mode, but no one plays the mode. It's for like the dads, and like, you know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'm definitely the guy who would play my career.
And then so like I play the popular modes on 2K, but like,
so you're basically like the guy who buys Madden and plays regs.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
I mean, technically, I'd be the guy that buys Madden and plays franchise mode and regs.
I like those guys. Like, I envy those guys. I've actually considered canning all MUT content on my channel. Like, that's a real thing. And I play regs on Madden. I've actually seen I've seen several high-profile YouTube people do it, and they've been able to make...
That used to be the thing back in the day.
What?
It used to be online head-to-head was like... It used to be like all the YouTubers played regs.
Yeah.
And then there's like a subgenre of YouTubers that played MUT. And then eventually, like all the pros used to play regs, not MUT. And then eventually the pros, like Madden 25, switched over to MUT.
Yeah.
Because they realized everyone that played MUT was awful, and they ran wagers and stuff.
I think it's part that. I think the other thing, too, is I think EA very clearly steered people towards MUT as a competitive mode. And when you go to the tournaments, they're playing MUT. You know, like... I mean,
that's because the community went there, though.
Well, that's true.
I don't feel like they did that.
Oh, well, I don't know, man. I feel like EA had a part of that, but maybe it's just coincidental. But if I was EA, I would want to push people towards MUT as a competitive mode simply because it makes some money. If you make regs the competitive mode... But
that wasn't the thing back in the day.
Well, I don't know, Andy. Shit. I'm going to have to edit that out. But, like... I just feel like Madden's kind of become weird now, and Ultimate Team videos don't pop off like they used to, and Now it's like this reverse is happening. Like I see people getting frustrated with MUT saying, I don't want to do it anymore and going to franchise and regs more.
I think what they should do is instead of making a new game every year, because this one's bad, Madden 20 is bad, NBA 2K 20 is bad, they should do like the Fortnite approach. And not like update weekly, but every year like release like a $20 package. So they can fix all the gameplay, have good gameplay, and just update the game.
I mean, you're not wrong. People have been pitching that for years.
Do like the Madden mobile thing where like you just reboot Ultimate Team. That's how you get away with it in Ultimate Team. Just like certain day every year, wipe everyone's slate clean on the same game.
From a consumer standpoint, I love it. From a business standpoint, if I was EA, never. Never in a million years.
Well, until everyone complains and doesn't buy your game anymore.
Here's the thing. As someone who worked at EA and someone who worked at GameStop for a much longer time, I cannot tell you how many people would come in the store and say, I have the best idea ever. Make one Madden per console generation and update it every year for about $20. And it is a brilliant idea, but it's a consumer idea. It's a consumer friendly idea, and I just don't think that EA is consumer friendly. Now, what I will say is you're right. It would be the best way to approach it because then you have. I
feel like you'd make more money if you did that, though.
You could.
Remember back in the day when Madden releasing meant something? Everyone at the Walmart, there's like Madden tournaments.
Yeah, they used to call it Madden Holiday.
It's not a thing anymore.
No, it's not. But I think part of
no one buys the game because they suck.
No, I think part of it is that physical media is dying. Like right now, GameStop stock is trading for less than $5. To give you some perspective, in 2008, their stock was, I believe, trading for over $70 a share at one point. In the last year, GameStop stock has gone down, I think, 80% in total value. It might be the last 2 years, but still an 80% fall. And that has coincided with the death of, physical media and more like kids nowadays. I hate to say kids, but like younger people just buy the digital version. It's more convenient.
Yeah, but eventually GameStop will start selling, like they sell digital versions, obviously. But there's that whole lawsuit where the guy's suing Apple for monopolizing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can only buy digital Xbox games on the Xbox store.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole lawsuit about that.
It makes sense. But I think what we're shifting towards, and this could be a whole podcast in itself, is I think we're shifting towards that dreaded phrase, games as a service. Because when you buy a digital copy of a game, you're just buying basically a license that's really just an extended rental. If you really want to get down to the nuts and bolts of it. And then even people like me who, you can see from over my shoulder, I buy physical when I can. Because I want the option to sell it on eBay. Yeah. But even then, if you want to blow your mind, delete all the updates for a game, pop in the physical disc, don't update it. It'll either be unplayable or it'll be playable barely. When you buy the disc, all it does is go in there, spin, take the data, and give you the same license as digital. It's not reading the game from the disc like in the old days. A lot of people think that. It's just not the case. So, I don't know, man. It's just going to be interesting to see how things go. I don't even know how we got onto this topic.
I don't know. Show's running long. We're going to go to DCD Film Club. This week, we have Daniel's pick, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Directed by Edgar Wright. Starring Michael Cera, and a huge all-star cast that I'm not even going to get into because there's a million people he could name on here. And I guess Elizabeth, what's her name, Winstead.
Yeah.
I can't. Does she have a middle name?
I think so, but I don't remember it.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That's it.
There you go.
Death Proof alumni. Great movie. So I'm kidding. So Scott Pilgrim is basically trying to date this girl named Ramona. He has to defeat her 7 evil exes. It is a action comedy, and it is a video game slash comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
So Alexander, what did you think of the movie?
I forgot to ask last week, or if I asked, I forgot your answer. Have you seen this before?
No.
Okay. I had never seen this before. I knew that there was a video game out on the Xbox that was based on the movie that tied into it.
Well, technically, I lied. It's based off a manga, not a comic book. I know. Don't roast me in chat. Everyone cares.
Oh, I thought it was a graphic novel. So I guess I had it wrong too. So I haven't seen this one before. I was aware of it. I didn't see it in theaters, obviously, and had multiple opportunities to purchase this at discounted rates when it hit home release. But I don't know. I never showed up on my radar. And I'm kind of surprised it didn't, because I really like this one. The first 10 minutes, I was trying to figure out what I was watching, if that makes sense. Like, it kind of smacks you in the face with some very unrealistic stuff right away, and you're like, wait, hold on. Like, is this a fantasy movie? And then I would say about 20 minutes in, you quickly realize this is a fantasy movie. It's like fantasy action, over the top, special effects, you know.
It's like a manga. It's over the top.
Yeah. So, and then at that point, I reminded myself, because like I was aware of this movie. About 20 minutes in, I go, oh yeah, this is that movie that was based off of a graphic novel that had like some supernatural type mystical power stuff going on, like most comic books. So, but overall, it's a really cool story. I don't know that there's a lot of depth to the story. I guess thematically, you could say like it's about fighting for yourself and going for what you really want in life and not settling for something. Specifically, like in regards to his girlfriend at the beginning of the movie, Knives, she would be a good girlfriend. She adored him. It would be settling, though, even though it would have probably been a good relationship, it would have been settling. Whereas what he really wanted was something that felt a little bit out of reach. He would have to really try hard, do something that was outside of his comfort zone. So I guess thematically it was a little bit strong, because like at the beginning of the movie, they use the word enfeebled to describe Michael Cera's character, Scott Pilgrim. And then at the end of the movie, he's got confidence. He believes in himself. He fights for what he wants. There's character growth there. I like that. Music was great. Sound effects were great. A lot of the musical bits I didn't mind. Usually I hate musical stuff in movies, but I thought they were all really well done and entertaining. I like the video game tie-in. There's a lot of video game sound effects, video game soundtracks from like the NES era going on in the background. That was really cool. Really spoke to me. I'm an 80s kid, was an NES kid. So I really liked it. And it just like when I heard the Metroid soundtrack in the background, I was like, oh, that's so good. I even liked that the band that they were in was video game themed. That was pretty cool too. The Bob-ombs. So
yeah,
sound was great. It's filmed exceptionally well. I love the cinematography. I know they had a dedicated person who worked on all the visual effects that they layered on top. Those were all really cool. So overall, I thought it was a really different take on an action movie. I can't think of a single movie out there that's similar to it. And it's kind of something that a pasty, white, pale nerd in their mom's basement in high school would enjoy. I think it really speaks to that kind of audience. Like the
roasted Daniel.
Well, Daniel's not that, but like, Daniel's into nerd culture. I'm into nerd culture. You are to an extent.
Not.
Probably not. I fully admit, in high school, I was a dork. I would have loved this in high school. I think it's perfect for that audience. I also think it's perfect for the audience like me, someone who's 34 years old, loves the 80s, loves video games from that era, and this had that tie-in. I think it's great, man. It's really fun. I'm sad I didn't watch this sooner, honestly.
It had the best transitions anything we've ever watched.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It in the beginning when he's hanging out with Knives on her dates, he was. I mean, I've gone through this where like every day just like happens, and then you're like, where am I? What am I doing? And it expertly does that by like the scene transitions where like the conversation keeps on flowing, but it takes you to a different place before you realize you're in a different place, and it breaks the rules. Like it breaks cinema rules. Like you're in the middle of a conversation, it puts it like Knives. They're in like a store. He's talking Knives. Goes back, talks to Michael, Sarah, or Scott. Goes back to talk to Scott. Then he goes back to talk to her, but the background's completely different.
Yeah.
And then there's like the bathroom where he goes in the bathroom. He leaves in the middle of the hallway in a school. The transitions did get kind of annoying though near the end, which does
I don't know.
I don't know. It was all right.
It's all right.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it's never gonna. It was a huge financial flop. Critics were mostly positive on it. It's got a huge cult following,
Yeah.
But, a lot of movies don't do so well in the theaters and have a cult following. Like we talked about Shaun of the Dead earlier. I mean, that's a really good example. I want to say that one didn't do well in theaters, but it did good on home release. So, overall, I really enjoyed this one. So, might be the best Patreon pick we've had. Not trying to make anybody feel bad, but like I really like this one. I guess I'm the perfect audience for this movie. So Andy,
I don't know. I've seen all of Edgar Wright's stuff.
Yeah.
It's not his best. He doesn't make bad movies. He doesn't make great movies. That's my synopsis, I guess.
I know I shouldn't care because I always say this all the time, like especially when
the best fan club pick though.
Yeah.
Fan pick was the first one.
Which was Absence of Malice?
Was Moneyball.
Moneyball. That was another Daniel pick. Listen, man. Daniel knows. Yeah, listen, sweetie. Daniel
all the
knows.
Fan picks were Moneyball, Absence of Malice, The Fountain, The Lobster, Something About Mary, Gran Torino, Days of Confused, City Lights, Top Gun, In Bruges, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Daniel knows.
That's a very Daniel heavy list, by the way. But Daniel knows movies. Daniel knows film. He's got a trained eye when it comes to that stuff. And like even the stuff that he recommends that I think is a little fringy, right? Where like it didn't even have mainstream critical success. I think they're generally successful movies. Like for example, The Fountain. Like The Fountain wasn't exceptionally received by critics, if I remember correctly. It was not financially successful in the least, but I think it's a successful movie. Tells a good story, explores some really cool themes. This is another one of those, but everybody else, like, we gotta get some variety in the fan picks, man. Just no more Absence of Malice or The Lobster, please. So,
more The Lobster.
I say fans like we actually have listeners.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I missed that. My bad. So overall, Scott Pilgrim vs. World, I give it a 7 out of 10. I'd recommend it to anybody. Andy?
I think the first time ever,
yeah,
we gave it something the same exact rating.
Oh wow!
I also gave it a 7 out of 10.
Look at that. It makes me feel good. I know I shouldn't like put so much emphasis on it, but I do like it when we both like a movie. I also like it when we both don't like a movie.
It's all right.
It shouldn't.
Like I said before.
Well,
not
7 out of 10 is good.
It's okay.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see.
It's second best movie, in my opinion. I really liked Baby Driver. Also 7 out of 10, by the way. If you want to see that, letterboxd.com.
If Dumbest Sphinx gives us a 7 out of 10, I'm going to lose it.
No, this isn't the first time. We gave Tower the same rating.
Oh, Tower was so good, though.
We all gave it 8s. Literally everyone. Everyone gave it 8.
Speaking of Andy's picks, what's your pick for next week, Andy?
Well, did you guess it? Could you guess it?
Well, in the show notes, you have Happy Feet from 2006.
I gave you a hint though. I said two of the main actors in your movie are two of the main
Oh,
actors in my
I
movie.
couldn't figure that out. I tried.
My pick is Charlie Kaufman's Synecdoche, New York.
Oh, I never would have guessed that. I don't even know what that is.
Stars Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, well, I like that. I like anything he's in.
Yeah.
God, he was so good.
Check it out. Synecdoche, New York. It kind of, without spoiling it, is nothing like the last two picks.
That's a shame, dude. Like,
I mean, you'll get what I mean after you watch it. It's on Amazon Prime Vudu for $2.99, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play $3.99, or if you want to watch it with free with ads, it's on Crackle.
Ooh, Crackle makes a return. I forget. Every once in a while,
you have to watch it with ads though, which is hella annoying.
Well, it's incredibly annoying. I couldn't watch a movie.
That's how I watch
with ads.
Aliens, and that may be the reason I hate the movie.
Oh, that's sad.
But then again, I turned it off. Like I watched it for like 2 ads in. I was like, this is awful. I turned it off, and and I watched the rest of the movie.
Yarr. All right. Well, moving into sports, I look forward to watching this movie. I've never heard of it, and that usually means it's a good one. Because Andy picks are usually strong picks. My picks, we won't get into that. Anyway, week 1 reactions in the NFL. Anything? I know we talked a lot about the NFL earlier. So Andy, anything that jumped out at you in week 1?
49ers are great.
Well, that was one thing that I wanted to talk about. So
49ers, they pressured the Bucs 40% of the time, top 5 in the league. They got pressured 10% of the time. That's also top 5 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Bosa had 6 pressures.
Yep.
That means he had the 7th most pressures in the league as a rookie in his first game, his debut game.
They were having the Bucs is who I mean by they were having a really hard time containing him. Like when I went back and watched some of those replays.
Quan Alexander, for the short amount of time he was in the game, was great. Absolutely stuffed Ronald Jones.
Yeah.
It was an all-around good game. The offense was a bit sloppy in the first half for both teams.
Yeah.
And they kind of picked up near the end.
Yeah.
And then the 49ers defense just took it away.
Yeah. Couple quick takeaways from me. So I'll just start at the top of the list that I'm looking on here. Titans really surprised me. Was really impressed by them. Ravens looked like I thought they would look against a poor Dolphins team, but please don't discount that performance just because it was against the Dolphins. The Ravens are a serious team, and Lamar Jackson looks really, really good. Every throw he made on Sunday, I can't think of he threw the ball 20 times. I can't think of a single one of those 20 attempts that looked bad. And last year, there were times where I'd be like, that ball didn't look very good coming off of his hand. Let's see. I already talked about the Falcons being disappointing. Same thing with the Bills being impressive. Eagles, man, they looked a little shaky. So did the Rams. Jaguars quarterback situation. I really like this backup that they have. He looked really good. So I'm glad they're going to give him a shot. He might be an option for them in the future.
And he was before.
What?
Do you not know who he was before?
I knew of him. I didn't really follow his career.
I watched him at Washington State. He's a JUCO player that was offered a scholarship to be backup at Alabama.
He bounced around.
He chose Washington State.
And I know he balled out at Washington State. I did look up his stats. Yeah. It's Minshew.
The best offense in college football last year.
Last name is Minshew, right?
Yeah, Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, look up Gardner Minshew if you have some time. Like, the guy's resume is actually pretty impressive. I think it was a good pickup for the Jaguars. I believe he went in the 6th round. Cowboys looked on point, as I expected. Steelers looked lost without Antonio Brown. Just going to say it. I know that's probably not a popular take. I know we have a lot of Steelers fans out there listening. All 3 people that listen to this show. And then Saints-Texans was the best game of the week. Best game of the week. Bucks.
Hot take.
Well, I wasn't trying to be like that, but
I'm kidding.
It was the most exciting game, period. That 58-yard field goal at the end was just like the perfect drama for a game, in my opinion.
So last week, I went 11-4-1 in the picks. You went 10-5-1 in the picks.
Oh, that's a little bit better than I expected.
Consensus picks went 10-2.
Mm-hmm.
Our split picks, I beat you 3-2-1.
That's fair enough. Bucks looked awful in one position only. Their defense looked good, okay? Hear me out on this. They held the 49ers to 17 points on defense. The run game for the Bucks looked really good. Ronald Jones, 13 carries, 75 yards. Peyton Barber also, supplemented that. I think Ronald Jones is probably the future. The passing game looked good aside from one player, and one player alone, that's Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston threw 2 pick sixes. That game, the Bucks should have won that game. With better quarterback play, that's a win. They would have beaten the 49ers. But unfortunately, he's the best quarterback in Tampa, so I'm just preparing myself for more of that buffoonery.
It's also hard to pass when you have Nick Bosa, D Ford, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Solomon Thomas. All on your face.
That last pick was inexcusable, Andy.
Akella Witherspoons.
The one on the screen pass was inexcusable. That ball never should have been thrown. Anyway, so Antonio Brown accused of 3 different incidents of sexual abuse and rape. I read the report in detail with my wife. These allegations, if they're true...
No, they're not.
Okay. Some of the allegations that are made here are things that I don't even think would happen in a porno movie. I'm not going to go into details, but the report is out there. It was kind of
more he's like, he may have did it. No, he definitely didn't do it. The trainer that's accusing him, accused of it happening in 2017 and then went back to work with him in 2018.
That's where I kind of had some questions.
Videos of them hanging out. And if you want to go down the narrative street, she recently got engaged and maybe she's like, was cheating on her husband and was like,
I don't know.
I didn't happen. He raped me. But there's also videos of them hanging out and she looks like she's having a good time.
I don't know, Andy. Those series seem more likely to me. I think it's really important to note that this is not a criminal trial. So this is a civil suit. And anytime somebody has an allegation that, like, let's just be honest, these are the highest level of felony there is. If you're going to come at me with accusations of a felony, my question to you is, why wasn't there a criminal proceeding first followed by a civil suit? Why are we going directly to the civil suit with the money? That's kind of my question. But I don't know.
The reason I kind of put it in here, though, was I threw it in there the second the news broke. But I'm surprised that no one's overreacting like people normally do. Just normally it's guilty until proven innocent. But in this case, everyone's on his side. They're like, yeah, no, this is BS.
I think it's really important to have the latter perspective of innocent until proven guilty.
Typically, in 2019's society, it's if you get accused of something, you did it.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty awful thing to have happen because I personally know someone who was accused of rape by their ex-girlfriend. And there was, let me just put it this way. They did a medical exam and that was able to prove that that never happened. It was like physically impossible for that to have happened. It could have ruined my friend's life. It happened when he was 18. So, Andy says we're running out of time, which we are. So, week 2 predictions. Let's go through those.
Week 2 predictions. We have, starting off Thursday Night Football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. I'm going with the Carolina Panthers.
It's a short week. Bucks on the road. Winston's lost 13 in a row on the road and didn't show me much, so I'm going with the Panthers, unfortunately.
All right, next up we have the Battle of New York, I guess. Not really. Well, only one team plays in New York, but Buffalo Bills at New York Giants.
Bills.
Yeah, definitely Bills. Then we have the San Francisco 49ers up against Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, I'm obligated to go with San Fran.
Yeah, I'm going Niners on this one.
Dallas at Washington, going Dallas.
Dallas, like Dallas.
And then we have the Chargers at Detroit, going with the away team for the fourth time in a row with the Chargers.
Going Chargers as well.
Then we have the Minnesota Vikings at Green Bay. I'm going to go against the Vikings, even though they had a hot week last week, and go with Green Bay.
I'm going Vikings here, man.
And then we have the Indianapolis Colts at Tennessee. I'm going to go with Tennessee, but I feel like this game will be closer than people think.
I'm going to go Colts.
And we have New England at Miami. Should we even talk about this one?
New England. But what's the spread on this one?
It is probably like 17.
18 and a half. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. Arizona at Baltimore. Going with Baltimore.
Yeah, another spread that'll make your eyes pop out of your skull. 13-point favorite, going Baltimore.
Then we have Seattle Seahawks at Pittsburgh. Going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they got demolished.
I'm going Seahawks, man.
Jacksonville Jaguars at Houston. Houston looked good last week. Jacksonville doesn't have their quarterback. Typically, rookie quarterbacks have awful week twos. Or not week twos in general, but their second week playing. So I'm going with Houston.
Going with Gardner Minshew and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And we have the Oakland Raiders at Kansas City. Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City.
The Chicago Bears versus Denver. The battle of the defenses and the no quarterbacks. I'm going to go with... I really want to go Chicago. I don't know.
This is a tough one for me. It's a tough one.
I'm gonna go Denver. Just because they're the home team. That's the only thing that has convinced me.
I generally like Denver at home, but I really think the Bears defense is going to make the Broncos offense more hell than vice versa. So I'm going Bears here.
Then we have the New Orleans Saints at the Rams. Hopefully a super high scoring game. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, over-under on this game is 52. My goodness. I'm actually going to take the Saints here.
We have the Battle of the Birds, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Atlanta Falcons. And I am going with the Atlanta Falcons.
You know, I like Atlanta at home generally, so I'm not going to pick against that. I think they rebound. They get a win here.
And then we have Cleveland at Jets. And as I previously said, I bet my life that the Browns will win this game.
Yeah, no Darnold. He's out with mono. I don't think I've ever seen a player out with mono. That's new. Going Browns.
Yeah. So that's our week 2 predictions.
Cool. So, thanks for listening to DCD 46. Real quick, couple things. As always, t-shirt link in the description. Want to thank our Patreon backers, Daniel and Bobby on the Andy tier, Jared on the gold tier. If you want to get early access to the show and help support the show, you can become a Patreon backer today for as little as $1. Gets you all kinds of fun stuff like early access to episodes, the ability to suggest a movie for DCD Film Club, and all kinds of other things. Go to patreon.com/DCD podcast. You check out all the tiers and the benefits there. And then finally, regardless of what platform you're watching this on or listening to this on, if you want to check us out on another platform, maybe you prefer the audio-only version to the video version, go to deadchannelduo.com. And there's a nice link right at the top to everywhere you can find us. So, and then leave us an iTunes review. If you leave us an iTunes review, I will give you a shout out on the show. Doesn't even have to be a 5-star one, but I would hope it'd be 5 stars. Anyway, Andy, anything else you want to talk about?
Dave Dombrowski get fired. It's what happens when you don't help the bullpen.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a little overdue. Just saying.
I mean, he's a great GM.
Yeah, he is. He'll rebound.
If you don't have big gaping hole of reason we should have won the World Series last year was our pitching. Didn't do anything to help it. I mean, it's a bit early, but it's kind of you not surprised.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people lining up to hire this guy.
When
though.
you have the second best player in baseball, Mookie Betts, you have the best third baseman in the AL, Rafael Devers, the best shortstop in baseball, the best DH in baseball.
Lineup stacked.
But you go to the bullpen and you literally have a bunch of minor leaguers, basically. There's no one good in the bullpen.
They gotta find those unsung heroes of the MLB, the pen. Everybody talks about starting pitching, the guys with the bats, but it's those relievers that really make the difference, in my opinion. So yeah, that's gonna do it for DC 46. Thanks for listening, guys, or thanks for watching, depending on where you're ingesting this show. We'll see you for DC 47 next week.